Mahaprabhu. Again, why? Because he wanted to establish the authority of tradition again. He wanted to say, he introduced Brahmin thread again. He introduced saffron cloth. He introduced Bhaktisiddhanta. He introduced all these things again because of this social etiquette, because of this social thing, saying, this is a respectful tradition. This is a pure Vaishnava teaching. And before that, this wasn't there. So these new things, Brahmin thread, saffron cloth, sannyas, and very strict again. Because before that, from the times of the Goswamis to the Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there was a lot of silly things happening in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. There were a lot of Sahajism and various kinds of stuff. So there's a careful balance, very important balance between this external and internal, like substance and the form. Like we have this cup. This cup is just the form. What's important is what's in the cup. The cup only needs to be clean. It can be from metal, glass, plastic. That's less important. But what's most important is the substance. That's water. Water needs to be pure. So these are two things. What actually is important is in the heart. It's not important how we dress or how we appear to people. That ultimately, that's less important. But it's still important how this glass looks, how this cup looks. It's still important. Because why? People will judge. People will judge what inside on how it looks on the outside. And because of this, like you have, I was so impressed, like in Hungary. If you've been to Hungary, everybody's so paka dressed. Everybody has really paka dress. Because why? Because people will judge the movement according to how. It's not important how we dress. Krishna doesn't care if Krishna doesn't care, but people will care, and it's for preaching. Like I was in the army, and there it's a very strict how you should be dressed. The shoes a little bit dirty, go back. Because you're not representing only yourself, you're representing the army. So that's very important. You're representing God, you're representing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you're representing Srila Prabhupada. And you can see Prabhupada is always dressed nicely. There's another trap in this. Then you become caught in this all external, that then external becomes more important than actually this internal. It's another trap. But you see, it's a careful balance is needed there between the substance, what's really important, and the form. These are these two things. If the heart is on the right place, then eventually everything else will kind of settle. It's better to have the clear heart in the beginning, or pure heart, or pure intentions. Then the environment will settle. But if the environment is favorable, if the outside is good, that is, it can foster the inner growth. It's always this careful balance that needs to be there in applying how we live, how we act, how we preach. Like also in Chowpatty temple, I saw every brahmachari has the same color of same color of the dhoti. And then the different temples of Radhanath Maharaj, they had slightly different color. Then you see this guy is from Pune, this guy is from this temple, and you can see that. Like if you would see Christian monks, if you go to Franciscaner monastery, how they are dressed. Nicely, all of them have the same. It's a uniform. Sometimes we as devotees are a little bit, all over. But it's an important thing. You can say it's external, but it's important. So just to summarize, we spoke a little bit in the beginning. I mentioned that in Baladevi Debushan has 3 types of devotees. In Vedanta Sutra he qualifies 3 types of devotees. Does somebody remember? Nirapeksha, yeah. Good. Then we spoke about why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas. Then we said from whom he accepted sannyas. From whom did he accept sannyas? Keshavarati. And then we gave a couple of examples, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being very strict. Can you give me some examples that we mentioned?
Chodharidas.
Chodharidas?
With Govinda and Jagannath Puri.
Govinda and Jagannath Puri and woman singer?
King of Orissa.
King of Orissa, Maharaj Pratparudra. And then we gave a couple of examples of him being very lenient. We gave one example of, that's one example, and the second one was Ramananda Ravi was a Shudra, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted him as a guru. And then we spoke a little bit about, we gave this example of a married woman having a lover, and how this reflects on our behavior in this world. So, Hare Krishna. I was afraid that this was all technical, because what I spoke now was more or less more dissertation which I wrote on sannyas in Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, all these examples. But in there is much more detail, so I was just thinking how much, and I was reading yesterday evening how I was preparing, so, because I wrote it 2 years ago, I was just thinking, oh, did I write this? I forgot so many things. But, yeah. Any questions or comments or?
So, if my understanding of this topic is correct, like there's these rules and regulations, social customs to follow to avoid the material reactions that you get if you don't follow. But like if you're on a transcendental level, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or whoever, then they don't have to follow because they won't get material reaction. Would they still follow for the social customs? But they wouldn't get the material any reaction, like if because they can do whatever they want. So isn't it like, I'm asking like, what do you think?
You have to understand what is the principle behind the rules and regulations. That's the most important thing. What's the principle behind it? What's the principle behind Varnashram Dharma? By following Varnashram Dharma, won't make anybody a devotee, but it's helpful. Why? Because it brings one to the level of goodness, to the level of purity, where the mind is peaceful. And then in such an atmosphere, it's very likely that if one is not sinful, one follows rules and regulations, it's very likely that that person can receive mercy of a devotee and become a devotee. So from this aspect, it's very favorable for such a person to follow rules and regulations. But for a person who is already on that level, who has achieved this level of pure love, for him or her there is no sin, in a way, because it's contradictory, because his heart is already pure. He's already there with Krishna. So if he wouldn't be there, then his heart would not be pure, in a way. It's impossible for him to commit sin. So externally it may appear that such a person doesn't do puja, or perhaps not do all the mudras correctly and all this stuff. For him this is not so much important, because it's more important, he has a spontaneous relationship with Krishna, what is called in Chaitanya Charitamrita Sahaj. But it's in a different concept than Sahajya. It's a natural, inborn tendency. You understand different? You have to understand what's the purpose of rules and regulations. To bring one to the level when one becomes eligible to become a devotee, in a way to receive the mercy. But when one is already there, then he doesn't rely on any rules and regulation, and that person can do whatever he or she wants. Like Rupa Goswami. He was on that level. He was a pure devotee. But then he decided, I follow all the rules and regulations. He was a perfect sadhaka, just to give an example.